Hello. How are you doing? How's everyone doing? Alright, we'll wait a couple minutes and then we will get started. Yeah, it looks like it's almost a TP on that second trade. Close everything out. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Rough morning. That loss, but it's alright. It is alright. So yeah, I'll start here in a couple of minutes. Let me get my screen going. Alright, can everyone see my screen? Okay, cool. Alright. Alright. We'll start in 4 minutes, like the official start. You guys have any quick questions to go over real quick, and then we'll go over the updates and stuff. Yes, yeah, we'll kind of go over everything. We'll go over the settings, and then we'll go over the updates, and then, kind of Interesting. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. That is something to definitely note. Let me see. On ES or MES? Let's take a look at a couple things. Filling in that gap. See, the wick bottom candle goes with the past day. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're not wrong on that. That is a very good analysis. Yeah, definitely seeing a pattern there. Yeah. Double break me up. All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Hold on 1 second. So let's go over the settings. First of all, is everyone ready? All right. All right, so let's go over settings, new settings, stuff like that. So the first three things, the 15-minute orb, same as always, 8:30 start time. This is just more of a visual thing, past 30 days, showed midline, you know, it's all the same. So the only thing kind of really different here, so we have futures cash CFD. So it can always trade CFD in futures. That's not really a big issue. So what this does is this actually changes the end of day logic to, because cash CFDs close at a different time. So that makes it a hard close. So if you're trading CFDs, that's what you would want. But if you're just a futures trader, you don't have to worry about that. So the flatten by a certain time, which we have it set to 3:30, which is central time, which is 15 minutes before the actual close. So that's when every close happens. As you can see, default for CFD cash close would be, if you have this set to this, it would be closing at 3 o'clock because that's when cash closes. Okay, and then so those are how these work. So this is just basically for the closure of the day, which is 3:30. There was an issue before where it closed, I think, like at 4 o'clock, which wasn't a big deal. It could sometimes leak into another day, so that fixes that. So now every trade closes at 3:30. If you have it on cash, it closes at 3, just to mirror the cash market. This is optional, the half-day calendar close. I recommend having this on. This is just for more of a stat kind of thing. But the system will know what days are half days. So like President's Day or whatever closes at noon. I don't know how a lot of people do this, but a lot of indicators, I don't know if they actually know what day is what. The system actually does know. So it knows, like, you know, holidays, it knows to close at before noon. So that's why the stats are very, very accurate in that regard. Visual boxes, this changes the visual box size. So this should change TP1 to make it a little bit smaller. Oh, because there was a breakout there. So you can see the box got a little smaller. This is if you're trading like gold or something that like they're 20, like, you know, that's a big movement. If you go like on gold, that box would be gigantic. So 20 points is the box. That's where I have it set default. This will change the bands, basically where this line is. So this should push it towards the middle. It's not going to be exactly in the middle, but it's going to be very close to the middle. So if you do move that for any reason, you can do that. I mean, you can. It's going to push it towards the middle box. But this is where that line, I'll make this a little bit bigger. This line right here, this is what needs to get touched. That's what confirms a trade, a TP. So just if you do move it, if you want it to go a little bit higher, that will move you up. So if you have it set to 10, it will be the bottom of the box. So basically once this bright green line or the dotted line, once that gets touched, that confirms a win. Ghost lines, I like ghost lines. It is something that I think is very cool. So how this works is, let me show you. Let me find, there we go, perfect. Actually, hold on, that's not perfect. So this works for valid trades only. So let me find one that has multiple breakouts. Okay, here we go. So in the case of a breakout, right? So what would happen before you get a breakout? You see your lines here, stop loss, TP1, TP2, you know, everything normal. You enter the trade, and then once a new one fires, you would lose your first lines. So say like, you know, you would have to go back in replay mode. Having the ghost lines on will keep a faint line here. So that would be, that's your original stop loss. If TP is the same, it will not change. And you can see the entry right here is kind of faint right there. If the entry is, the TP is the same, it will not change. It will only change if the TPs have changed. And then they go away once TP, see now the TP did move, from the like it moved from different lines, so you can see the faint the faint TP line and the stop loss line right here. So those are the active trade, the trade that was entered, and then once price comes down and it was released. So once it hit that line, it released it, and then now the trade was taken, it goes away. So I like to have that on just in case like you get multiple breakouts and you're like, oh, I don't remember where my TP was. That tells you exactly where it is. This is light mode. This is if you just have a light background, it just kind of flips the contrast a little bit. Turn it on so you can see. There you go, it just darkens it. So if you have a lighter background, it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, so this is the dashboard. This is pretty much the same as before, except for one thing was added. You guys want me to go over the dashboard? Like all the little toggles? Okay, yeah. I mean, everything's pretty much the same as before. This is all just win rate stuff. It's really like from here down. Like this shows like the context, but everything here down, it just gives you a lot more analysis. But with the backtest, being able to backtest at the same time, like with this now, it's really not needed. It just kind of gives you the summary of what's going on recently. So it's not like exactly needed. I think the max you can do. I have the premium plan. I can only go back 90 days. So that only gives you a 90-day rolling window. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's like I said here, this is where you would change you can bump it up to 90. You can keep going, but it won't record anything. It just kind of limitations of trading view. I don't know if it's tier based on plan, because I don't know if there's anything beyond like premium. But for me, I know I can't go past 90 days. The days will keep going up, but the stats won't change. So the only thing that was added here was this is called Next, show both phases bar up, bar down. Okay, so if you have this off, it will just show whatever the closest phase is on the dashboard. So if you have this by default, it'll look like this. So what this is showing on the dashboard is this next part of the dashboard. So it says trans bear. So if it's TR, it's trans. If it's ST, it's strong. If it's WR, it's weak. Or WK. What this means is that this is the next phase. This is the next closest phase for trend to change. So whatever the next closest trend flip. So it says transitioning bear is 117 points. The EMAs are that far apart. So that's what that means. So the higher time frame EMAs are 117 points apart. They are widening. So that's getting wider. So if you had EMAs plotted on the chart, you would see them very far apart, or not very far, but they'd be like apart. Then if you have show both phases, so this will pick phase up, phase down, or not phase up, phase down, but phase which is up and which is down. So weak bear is 403 points. So what that means is if you see the PX, that means price. So it is 400. The fast moving EMA, which is the lower one, or the smaller one, like whatever. We are 400 points above that. So price would have to come down 400 points to go below price. So the EMAs don't just work on a cross, they work on where price is. So that's what this is telling you. So one is going to usually say EMA, the one's going to say price. So price would need to come down 400 points because it's above the EMA is 400 points. So think of it like kind of like the EMA, but say the EMA is down here. Price would need to come down to the EMA, to the EMA, which would be like, say like that it's above price. So if it went below, it would go to that. It would go to the weak bear phase. Now, if the EMAs were crossing, the number would get smaller and smaller, and they would cross. They would be confirming a downtrend or transitioning to a downtrend. And that's basically it. And if you're like in a strong, like we were in a strong bull market, or sorry, strong bear market. Or no, we are in a strong bear market, yeah. So that's what that, and it works vice versa. So if it's like a strong bull trend, I don't know if we've been pretty much in a downtrend though. I don't know if I can show it. So that's how that worked. It is a little confusing. I do understand. I was trying to make it simple as possible. But yeah, just if you see EMAs, I mean, it's regarding the EMAs, where the relationship to each other. If you see PX as price, that means price is above or below the EMAs. So you need to go, below or up or below. Like since we're weak, price would need, we would need to come up. Sorry, I think I said down. We need to come up for like 325 points. Yeah, I think that's what I was saying. So yeah, so like the EMA is like, say like this is the EMA. Price would need to come up to cross the EMA, and it would go to weak. This is like, you don't have to worry about this. Like if it's transitioning to bear, that means the EMAs would need to cross about 1,000 points apart, so you don't need to worry about that. Yeah, it's a little confusing. I do get that. I was trying to make it simple as possible, but it was really no way to like, without having the dashboard be like super complicated as far as like explaining what it meant. I was trying to make the dashboard stay relatively compact. But yeah, so that's if you're curious to see what the next phase is. If you don't care, you just go along with this. This only really matters when the numbers get really close or really small. If they're really big, then we're stuck in this trend. We're stuck in a strong bear trend. It's only when the numbers get really small that really matters. So this is an also addition. It's just fade. I mean, there's really anything. You could possibly reverse trade it, but I would just stick to what it, not trading it. It just says low bar quality. That means those are the D and F trades. They're just saying it's a low quality trade. It doesn't necessarily not take it, but it's kind of cautioning don't take it because it's recommending 0 contracts. Let's see. That's pretty much it for the dashboard update. It was just the next, just kind of tell you where the next phase is. If you have it on default, it will show you the closest one. And then as far as this, everything's the same. This is just, instead of saying like don't trade or skip or whatever. Let's see. Okay, so then you have your win rate cutoff time, which is 1300, which is 1 p.m. Central. And like I said, this is what I've tested. It will not fire after 1 p.m. I have it set to 0, so it can take as many trades as I want. I think the most I've ever seen is 4. I see you're still O the session. What? So yeah, so I've only seen like 4 trades I think ever be taken. Usually it's 1 to 2, maybe 3. So I just have it set to 0 so to allow it to run, and it's never been an issue. Obviously, you guys see the stats. The realistic trading, what this does is if a trade fires, say like right here. Actually, let me just go back to that B setup. I can show you exactly what that means. Okay, so we get 2 back-to-back breakouts. So once the first initial breakout happens, it will not track another trade until either the stop loss or TP is hit or end of day. Then it can track a new trade. It will, if with that toggled on, it trades like a real person. How a real person, you wouldn't take breakout, then breakout again, I'll take that one. No, you just enter the one trade. Let's see. The EMAs, fast and slow, 5-day look. This goes to the 5-day average of what the orb size has been. The tolerance is 10%. So for it to be like green, it would need to be in 10% of whatever the new range is. So if you see green, that means it's in 10%. If it's not exactly 10%. It's 10%, but it's on a scale. So as the orbs change size relative to that number, it will affect it. So this, you'll see yellow. That means it's okay. You'll see this more than anything. You'll see the yellow. That means it's not great, but it's good. It's good. And if you see red, that means it's 2 times bigger or smaller than the 5-day average. It means it's something super volatile. It's crazy. for the 5-day average to be, if you go 5 times bigger, or 2.5 times bigger than that, that's crazy. So it's just giving you it's basically going to warn you like, hey, this is too volatile. Say like the 5-day average is like 150 and we have like a 400 point orb, or something like that. 150 or like 500 point. It's very rare, but it has happened. It has kicked on before. So this one works out on a percentage. This one's a time. This lowers down the gate for the volume filter. It would just lower it down for like, if you're trying to trade London or Tokyo, or just the low volume like indice, or just anything that's low volume. You can use that to lower the gate for volume. I've used it a couple of times when I was testing London, but London's kind of tricky on its own, so it wasn't really the volume wasn't really the issue. It was more just the breakouts themselves. But if you're trying to maybe like on gold or whatever session you're trying to trade, like on a different asset, if you want to mess with that, you can. That's what's there. Minimum orb to track 45 points. So what this really helps with is like holidays. We really don't go over 45 points. So anything below 45 points, it just ignores. That's usually a holiday when the market's closed, or there'll still be an orb. But so in the backtest data, it has never taken. I don't have any filter for when the market's closed, but that alone is the filter for it. So any orbs under 45 points, I've checked the data myself. It has not taken any holiday trades when the market's closed. Breakout close. So basically, it just looks for. I always have it on. I don't know. I just do for like default. Basically, just 0 points. Basically, that's orb. That's orb level. We've seen this kick in a couple of times already. So max points to close outside orb is 50 points. This is based on backtest data. That's the number that works. I've tried 55, 65, 70, 80. I've tried doing it on percentages. 50 works. I don't know why. 50 works. I found this out a long time ago. It is what works. Anything over 50 points, as you saw, I think yesterday for that A setup, that was over 50 points. It won't track it. It says it's over 50 points. It'll tell you on the chart it's invalid. Let's see. Okay, so this is just for the TP system. So max TP, it'll look for TPs within 200 points. Minimum TP will be 1R. This is based off the stop loss. TP2 is 1.5. The point offset, this just brings it a little bit closer. So it just moves the TP a little bit closer. I just found that's what works best. The fair value gap, it looks 20 bars for for value gaps, and the minimum size for a fair value gap is 5 points. So anything smaller than that, it will not look at. This will look for swing highs and lows. It look 40 bars. Like these settings are, I wouldn't say finicky. They're just more of what I found works. I've tested other settings, and this is just what works. This is just show watch level. This is just like for just show it on there so you can see it. Let me pull. There we go. Now it's gone from the dashboard. Very simple there. And if you ever mess with anything and you mess up a setting, or you like don't know what you did, all you do is have to delete the indicator, re-add it. It will go back to these. It'll go back to the normal settings. So if you ever mess with something, you don't know what you did or not sure, that is like the go-to. Okay, so you have to use higher time frame support and resistance. So what this will do, this will scan the 4-hour higher time frame support and resistance level. That's why you'll see sometimes on the chart, you'll see like a warning level or something. It'll say higher time frame, like HTF 48 hits. That means on the higher time frame, that level has been touched 48 times. So it just scans it, and it'll scan 40 bars back. So it looks at all the highs and lows, and it'll scan, okay, what point it got hit a lot. The min and max. So this used to be 50 and 150 and 50, and I let it open a little more to let the ATR be able to actually do its job for the stop loss system. and it has worked fantastically. Like we don't fantastic. We don't really normally hit the right now you can see it's at 170 175. We don't hit it that often, but it does get triggered. Before we would trigger the 150 a lot, and I just letting the system actually be able to do its thing. I don't want to go over 175. That was more of like when I was doing I tested basically up to 250, and 175 was the sweet spot. This is visual to show fair value gaps. Here you go, like here and here. If when they get tapped, they go away. If you always want to see fair value gaps, you can just say, just remove this, and then they'll just always stay on. And the fair value gaps show on all time frames, whatever chart time frame you're on. This is the risk. I have all the risks on the site. So if you're ever curious to see if you're running a different count size, or if you're in drawdown, or if you just want to know, hey, like I want to pass an eval fast, or I want to take my time, you can look at all the different risk profiles, all the drawdown, all the data is there for all the 7 years. So you can, and I also have it 7 years and 2 years if you want to look at just recent time. So that way you could pick the right amount for your for your risk tolerance. So everyone wants to risk different amounts. Everyone has different account sizes, so I let that up to them. I have a default for 400. Usually everyone's trading 50K accounts. Static sizing, that treats everything like an A setup. So if you don't care about the dynamic risk, you just want to say, okay, I just want to know how much max contracts I can put on every trade. You just click static sizing. Everything's going to full size. This is a new thing that I was added. So it does improve, but drawdown is increased. So this is kind of a caution. So what this does is after a loss, it doesn't matter when. It doesn't matter if it was yesterday. Say yesterday we had a loss. Okay, so like today we have a loss, and then we don't get a trade until tomorrow. This will still kick in. So after a loss on the next trade, it will add one contract. So let's say that we lost today. Tomorrow, if we have this on, and then tomorrow we get an A setup and it says 2 contracts, that's what this will add one more, and it doesn't snowball. So if we take 2 losses in a row, it doesn't add one contract. It doesn't basically add 1 and then the next day add 2 or add another one. It'll just add 1 until you have a win. So if you say we lost today and we take another loss tomorrow, the 1 will still stay stuck. It doesn't just add more contract. It just, it keeps it the same. Dollar per point is if you're trading something else besides MNQ, you just need to adjust this to whatever the dollar amount, so it can adjust it in the dashboard and adjust the contract sizing. These are just to show the labels on the side. So if you don't want to see the labels, you can turn that off. And if you don't want to see 50%, you can do that as well. Minimum grade, you can set it to say whatever grade. What is the lowest grade you want to have it trade? You can set it here. And then partials, you really don't have to mess with this unless you're doing more of backtesting. It's if you want to go full TP, this is TP1. If you have none, it just goes TP1. If you want to see a full size at TP2, so you want to see only TP2 trades, this TP1 then TP2, it will only works for multi-contract trades. So if you have 2 contracts, like an A setup 2 contracts, it will take 1 contract off at TP1 and the next one at TP2. It does not have break-even logic. It can't figure that out. Once a trade is entered in the strategy thing on TradingView, it can't be moved. It can't be adjusted. It's what it is. This is same thing. Multi-contract trade. At 50%, it will take off if you have 2 contracts or whatever. It'll take off 1 and then take off the next one at TP1. If say it hit 50%, take off 1 and then hit stop loss, well then it will just lose the second part of the trade. And then a couple other things I just want to make sure everyone's, people understand. So how the system works as far as the grading's always going to match what's on the chart. So if like for this one, it's F, it's not going to color it in. These are going to stay exactly what they look like on your chart. They're going to say, it's still going to show TP, it's still going to show the stop loss and entries just in case you want to take it. But if you don't see it colored in, it means it's not a valid trade. And this does kind of trip some people up because they see the TPs and so you see A, you're like, oh, I should enter. If it's not colored in, here, not colored in, it's not a valid trade. And they're color coded. So bright green is A, then it's like a little bit darker green is B or B plus. They go down the system. You can kind of tell the difference here. This is a little bit brighter, this is a little bit darker. And then it goes all the way down to C, which is yellow. So those are like the 3 colors. So when you see a break, and the colors will change live on the chart. So it will go through the different color changes. So if this went from a C to a B to B plus to an A, it will go through all the different colors. So if you see a breakout happening and you don't see it colored, it's not valid yet. Wait for it to color, and then that's kind of your signal. And then if you see 0 contracts, that means the system's not taking it. And let me see, is there anything else about the charts? And also, like, make sure sometimes you'll see like, breakout, but if V up's below, it won't trigger. A couple of rare instances in different cases. So for a trade, for a breakout to be valid, a candle needs to start in orb. So if say like 33 candles, we have orb, and then once we have a breakout, that is a valid breakout. It resets once a candle closes back inside orb. So once this candle right here, once it closes inside, that reset the system. It can say, okay, we can look for another trade now. And then that's precisely what it does. 2 candles later, it breaks out. Boom. Rare cases, then this has happened. Say a candle closes back in orb, but barely closes back in orb. The next candle gap, like right here. Say this candle here closed in orb, and this one can't start it here. It won't trade that. It doesn't count that as a valid trade because the breakout candle did not start inside orb. So that does happen. It's very rare, but it does happen. Let's see. So, and there is counter trend logic. So how the system is being able to trade, if it's a weak bull or bear and that's counter trend, it will not take that. From the data, it shows that weak trends tend to fail, as if for reversals, but for strong trends, they tend to work more just because it takes more effort for them to work. If that makes sense. It shows more like, I guess, conviction. It shows that it's more, the market's willing to revert or go against trend. They're more likely to work. So just keep that in mind. So but most of the time they're gonna fail just due to like low volume. It makes the trade harder to get a good grade. If it's say this was green, so that means we are in the 10%, we probably would have gotten a better grade. I mean, if it's like, say the volume was there, we would have gotten a better grade here. So they can work. They do fire, and we've actually had one not too long ago. So they do fire. And so just keep that in mind. So we can go counter trend, just on strong, has to be on a strong counter trend. That makes sense. Let's see. I did just update the TP logic. It had a fallback system that looked for, like, if it couldn't find anything that was in the criteria. Now this one actually looks for it has a better fallback system. So I think the other day we had like a really big TP, or no, sorry, yeah, TP was really far away. I think that was the first time it ever happened. That's why or there was a couple maybe instances, not very many, where it has triggered. And like I said, I think maybe there was like 3 or 4 in the whole 7 years. So that's why it never really came up. But then I took a look at it and I figured out a way to better improve it. So now TPs will stay relatively close to the 1-to-1, like a minimum. Like this one is like a 0.9 to 1. So it stays relatively close to it. For what makes sense for the trade. We shouldn't get like TPs that are like, a 1 to 2.5, and that's the closest thing. So it's a little bit better logic with that. And it's all these trades, everything, if you're using the auto trader, they are 100% matched. So everything that the indicator or the strategy here is taking, the auto trader takes, they're 100% matched. You guys have any questions? No questions? Is everyone good? Let me think if there's anything else we need to go over. I think that's pretty much it. Everything's pretty much the same as before. It was just more of optimizations. I did kind of behind the scenes, so it doesn't really, if you're trading it, it doesn't really affect you in that sense. Pretty much everything, everything's default, been updated, so all the defaults have been updated. So basically, as long as you update it, you will be trading the same. Just following the same rules, and then yeah, nothing changes for you. Yeah, if nobody has any question, anything, we can wrap this up. All right, yeah, that's good. You want me to go over any of the stats or anything? But the stats have been slightly updated, or since last update, or any like the backtest data or anything. Anything you want me to go over as far as that? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's look at some data. Let me put over here. So obviously this won't have the trade from today because I don't have it updated yet. So, and I have made a bunch of updates to the site. I don't know if you guys are members on it or not. So I mean, so anything here and here is public. This is the only thing that's not public, but you can access all the data. I had updated this on the 18th. No, sorry, the 24th. So this is literally like 4 days, old. There's only, I think, maybe been one, maybe two trades since then, I believe. And then we can look at the live track record as well. That is up to date except for today. Okay. And then the CSV file, you can download this if you ever want to look at it. I give everything's there for everyone to look at. I want to make sure that everything's clear. Okay, so this is based on the $400 risk profile. Obviously, not every trade's 400. It's gonna be about 400 for the higher quality trades, lower for the lower quality. 710 trades, total of 1143 over 7 years. Pretty good. I would say it's 7 years, but 2019 was really barely anything. So, but I included because I just use basically everything that TradingView gives me. Yeah, so it's 1.67, which is very good. It's not, there's crazier numbers, but it's very good for what it can do. Drawdown, it says 2609 on TradingView, but it actually, the way you can measure it both ways. That's why I put both numbers. I'm not trying to hide the number. But realistically, like from the data, it's 25. It's $100, so it's not like groundbreaking. It's not like, oh, that $100 is going to really make a difference, with fees and everything. So not really anything. Here's the equity curve for all the years. It's pretty steady. We do have our dips and stuff. It's not like a smooth, it's not like a straight line up. It does, we do have our little rough areas. We're going through one right now. It's a little bit of a slow. And then, so this is based on different risk profiles, different account sizes, and based on their what you need to make, like the targets and stuff. All the targets are here. I just need to make sure, like, 50K is 3K, 2K, 100K, 6K, 3K, 150K is 9K, 250K is 15, or is it? Yeah, 45, 250 is 15, and 6,500. So those are based on the like the normal prop firms. So yeah, so you can look here. This would be, so if you had a 50K account, you can go to $400. That's the default. You can pick with DL, no DL. It's just depending on what prop firm you're using. I'm just gonna go with no DL. So how this works, what this is looking at. So it will start a new eval on the first of every year, but not exactly on the first trade of every year. So whatever the first day it trades, that is when the eval started. And then it'll tell you when it ran to. So this was started in June, it finished in May. And then, so same thing here. So this one started, this one did 4 evals. It started on the first of 2020. And then the last eval was started in October of 2020 and finished in February. So it tells you the overlap. Same thing here. So this one did 6. It started in the beginning of the year. So theoretically, you would have 2 evals running at the same time here. Because what it does is, once it starts one, it doesn't start a new one until the one it's currently on passes or fails. And then then the next day it'll start a new one. But for the end of the year, there is overlap. So I just wanted to make sure that was documented. So just in case, how it was before, it was starting from 2019. It would say, okay, once it passed, the next day it would start a new one, and it just kept doing that. But if 2021, you wouldn't technically start until February. So you kind of, if you're not starting and you're not going to, if you're not starting in February, you want to know how many passed for that exact year. So I figured this would be like the more accurate way of doing it. So like, okay, you're like, how many would I pass in 2026? Well, there you go. Now you would have passed 3 evals in 2026. So if you started in the beginning of the year, by this time you would already have 3 evals passed. Same thing for 2025, which was a monster year. Like, it was crazy. I guess it was 21,000. It was the best year so far. It passed 7 evals in the year. And that's just doing them one at a time. So just kind of keep that in mind. It has, for the risk profile 400, it has failed 4 times in 7 years, which is crazy. I think it's past 38 evals. And I think it's 38 and failed 4 or something. I think that's the number. It's here. So don't quote me on that, but yeah, it's right here. So you add these up, and then, there you go. You have this many. So, it's pretty impressive. It's, it can be done. It can be a grind. You can see it here. Like, there you go. 35 passed, 4 failed out of 39. For 50K, it's, 48 days is the median. So about 48 days, the slowest has been almost a year. So that is something to keep in mind. But the fastest is 18 days. And as you go up, you can definitely, you can see how your risk will affect your, your win rate, how many you're going to pass and fail. And then if you change these, you'll go, they all kind of, they'll change all this data here. And then this down here, doesn't matter what you have it set to. It will just go, so if you click this one, it will highlight this one. If you click 250, it will highlight that. This stays the same though. Say like if you go, it will just highlight it. So this will just tell you kind of a brief summary of how long it'll take to pass. And then you have the stats for each one. Yeah, that is kind of the tricky part. To be fair, yeah, that is a totally different monster. Like I said, I passed the 250K, in one day, but that was risking heavy. Can it be done? Yeah, I mean, you could definitely. Yeah, it's too slow. But I still need to update this. I'm actually going to increase the risk up to about $2,000. So I still need to add that. but I have to get all this data together. It's not just simple just adding it because it shows you all the data for everything. So I will be adding more to go all the way up. But yeah, for Apex, that's a different monster. 30 days, yeah, you have to definitely trade aggressively. Say like a 50K, you'd probably trying to push the little bit higher numbers. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying, it is what it is. If you're trading like Lucid or Lucid did pay a one-time fee and then you have unlimited time, this is kind of like the perfect thing. Perfect one for it. I say if you're trying to get through it faster, at least like if you're trying to trade more aggressively because you may have a tighter window, you can actually see, okay, if I risk this much, what are my odds of passing and failing? And it's not it's not like impossible to do it. If the average is 36 days, that's not too bad. That's kind of doable. But yeah, so then if whatever risk profile you pick, you can see the data here. So if you want to see how the 650 risk profile, I'm trying to remember. Is it trading days? Do I? Let's see. Can't remember off the top of my head. I have it. I think it's on here somewhere. I think it says it somewhere on here where it because yeah, I believe it's days. It's just days straight. It's every day of the week is counted. It's not trading days. Let me put it like that. So it's not trading days, it's days. So calendar days, I guess that'd be the simple way of putting it. Okay, then I'll show you the current stats of what it was traded. That actually has commissions taken out of it. So every day after the session, I will be updating this. So this is of May 1st, because that's when Knightfall was actually around, but it was still in beta when I was testing it, but it was taking trades. The public came out around the 15th. So that is all documented here. So this will be updated. So this is what we're looking at. We made $1,500, 54% win rate, not the best. But honestly, this is right before the big boom. So if we look at, or sorry, this was right after like the big boom we had. I'll just give this. There we go. So if we look at this year, so we're up 11K for the year, right? But so we had a $3,600 month, a $1,200 month, which we barely traded, $2,500 month, $2,600 month, or $2,200 month. And then this is actually when it was starting, like when I started tracking it, this is when we started hitting our low or like dip. So I didn't want to show these months because it wasn't technically around yet. So I felt like I was kind of dishonest. The other version was out, which would have been very close to this, but it wouldn't have matched it. It would have been, I just felt like it was just dishonest. So I want to be accurate with it. So for the year, we are sitting at a 63% win rate for the year. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's only showing that really small window, and it's the window that we did not have great. Basically that's when we started actually not doing so good. Well, not horrible, but it wasn't like, not those like these months comparatively. So yeah, this shows the kind of up and down. And this is, this is available on the site for anyone can look at this. So if you actually just were curious, if maybe you weren't tracking it or whatever the case, this will show you exactly that. So this will show every month that has been tracked. So yeah, so they show you, the weeks, and then I'll show you all the days and the weekly profit. Same thing here. And July. Obviously not, today's not updated. I'll show you all the different grades, the it's TP1 stop loss, sorry, it's TP1 long short, end of day. And then here I'll list all the trades. And if you click a day, like click that day, it'll show you the trade right here. So if you just want to see like, oh, okay, what was that one? It was a win and a loss. You can do that on the site. Or if you want to do this, you can see, okay, it was two longs, and that's what it was. And it was end of day closure. You can see exactly what each trade was. And this does have commissions taken out. It's $250, I think, taken out. I think I have it. It's not exactly like for every prop firm, it's not exactly the same, but that's kind of like the going rate. I think it's $2 or $250. I can't remember what I have it set for, but it's close to what would actually be taken out per contract. And this will tell you the entries and exits of all the trades. And like I said, I will keep updating this as we continue. So, if you guys want to see it, or, maybe anyone, you can take a look at it on the site. Is there any other stats you want to go over, or any other questions? Oh, thank you. Okay, good to hear. Good to hear. What do you mean? Do I always stop the trade at end of day? No, the system. If the system, if a trade doesn't hit TP or stop loss by the time 3:30 happens, it is a end of day closure. So it will close it at whatever dollar amount that'll be tracked, and it will be, if it's $10 into profit, it will track that $10. Let's see. Do we have end of day? I think I just clicked on one. Here we go. So it was $421 in profit when the day closed. So that is where it was recorded at. It is not recording the full TP. It's just wherever it was closed at. So if it just in those cases of it not hitting TP before the end of the day or stop loss. Does that answer your question? It's like, I do not stop the trade. The system does it itself. Any other questions? All right. Well, I guess we can wrap it up. And if you guys have any more questions, just hit me up in the Discord. And this will be on... This will be on YouTube, so it'll be in one of the VODs of the live video. So if you ever want to look at anything, you can go ahead and check it out there. Not a problem. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow in tomorrow's session. Everyone have a good day and be safe.